Welcome to the One Life, One Chance podcast. I'm your host, Toby Morse. I have a very special guest, my old boss, my old road dog from almost 25, 30 years ago. Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Lou Koller from Sick of It All. Good morning, sir.
What's up?
I know you're sick of talking
morning.
about yourself because you guys are working on a book right now, so I'm sure you're like talking on the phone so much, right?
Yeah, we're trying.
Um,
I'm good.
what's the book called you guys are working on? I think Pete said too.
We haven't.
There's no name
We
yet.
haven't had a. I don't know. There was like some names thrown around. Something about the blood and the sweat or something like
Yeah.
that. But me and Pete aren't settled on anything yet. I mean,
Yeah.
they want to call it that, but we don't know what we're going to call it.
So I kind of heard some of your story through Pete, but obviously, you guys are brothers. Everybody knows that, and being in the band with brothers is fun and stressful. I deal with that shit myself.
Yeah.
But how are you in school? Like, how are you in high school? Did you like school? Did you graduate?
No, I fucking hated school. I don't know what it was. I was bored. Sometimes it depended on the class. Sometimes I got into it. I think I was just. It's funny now. What my teacher said was true. I was just lazy. I just didn't want to sit there and write shit. I knew the answers and all that, but I don't want to write this stuff out.
Yeah.
But no, I left high school. I went to a school for graphic arts and all that stuff, but then they got budget cuts, and all my classes that I were really into got cut.
Oh shit.
And I got stuck in these other classes that I didn't like, which is stupid because I one of them was fashion designing, and I just didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it was dumb because I was like one of two straight guys in the whole room.
Oh, shit.
Every gorgeous girl was in that class. And the thing is, I had a knack for it. The teacher would be like, "Do this assignment." I'd be like, "Yeah, whatever." And I'd come up with some crap. And then she'd be like, "This is really inventive." And I'd look at her like, "Are you crazy? I just made that shit up out of my head." And she's like, "No, this is great." But then I just didn't want to be in school anymore.
Yeah.
I started being a street vendor with my friend Tom Farkas on the weekends.
Oh shit, no,
we
Tom
were
Farkas.
like, let's.
Go ahead.
Yeah. We were like, let's just cut the fuck out and do this during the week because we were making money. And we were like, yeah, let's go make money. But I got my GED later.
Oh, you did later?
Yeah.
Well, did you play sports in school or no?
No, I played outside. I was into.
Yeah.
I played Little League as a kid. Baseball I liked, and then we got into soccer, and I loved it. Me and Pete were really good at it. I got trophies and shit.
Oh wow.
But then, much like a lot of my other friends' stories, who were really good at sports and had potential, I was like, oh shit, music.
It ruins everything.
Punk rock ruined my life.
So, did you get Pete into the music, or he got you into it? Like, how'd you guys?
No, we both got into it at the same time. Like, because our older brothers were into hard rock, and we were like, oh, what are they listening to? And they'd play us shit, like old stuff like Deep Purple and Leonard Skinner, and we liked it, but we always gravitated more towards the up tempo shit, the more. And then my oldest, the one who's a year older than me, my brother Matt, brought home Plasmatics, New Hope for the Wretched, and I was like,
shit.
Whoa, you hear Black Sabbath and you love it, and all the metal. We were into Judas Priest and Maiden, but then that shit came, and it was just like
next level.
We never stopped liking the metal, but that was just another level.
Yeah.
Insanity. Come on, Monkey Suit. It was just insane.
And then you start going to shows. You guys started going to shows together.
Yeah, we went together. We went to big rock shows and all that, but then we started going to CBGBs together. When we met Armand in high school, and he was the one who was telling us about, New York shows. He played us like Negative Approach, and then he's like, there's a New York scene, and we talked about it, and he was telling me how he went to see Negative Approach. And at that time, everybody else, I started reading Maximum Rock and Roll and all these other fanzines.
Yeah.
And I got I sent away for Corrosion Conformity's first album, and I became pen pals with the guitar player Woody.
Oh shit!
And they played CB's, and I think it was Leeway's first matinee because they opened up the show.
Oh wow!
So I saw them, and then we got a flyer, and it said, Victim in Pain, Agnostic Front, homecoming show or something like that. It was like they're returning from their Victim in Pain tour.
Yeah.
And that was it, man. We went to that show, and that was it. We were like, yeah, we're coming here every weekend.
Was it?
Couldn't beat it, man. $5.
Oh shit! Yeah, you guys were young too, right?
Yeah, we were in our probably late teens at that time.
Yeah. Was it scary going to shows at CB's when you were that young at first, or?
Well, it's funny because I remember the show Armand talked about him going to see Negative Approach, and I think they were opening for Flipper.
Oh shit!
And I remember going down and looking across Bowery and being like, I'm not going across there. That's scary as hell.
Across the tracks.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then what were you interested in doing? You said you're going to do some graphic design stuff like that. What were you doing at that time as far as like what was your goals at that time? Like what you wanted to do?
I never really had a plan.
Yeah.
You know, I loved comic books, but I didn't think I was good enough to draw comic books. And again, it was all due to discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. Like I said, I quit the high school of art and design, and my friends who graduated all were working jobs that had nothing to do with art. And then one day I went for this job at a rug factory, and yeah, it's weird. It was in the art department, and I got it.
Oh shit!
We made rugs for Peter Frampton, Michael Jackson.
Holy
we did it for the
shit.
State Department. Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow. What year was that, in the 80s?
Yeah, that was right. It was like 80, right when the band started, like around 86.
Yeah.
And then I remember in 88 or 89, I think it was 89, the Bad Brain, it was coming up on summertime, and me and Pete had this uncle in France, you know, because my mother's French.
Yeah.
And he had a farm, and he calls my mom, and he says, like, hey, see if Lou and Pete want to come over, they can work with me on the farm 4 days a week. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I have an apartment in Paris. And he goes, what else would two young men want but to live in Paris on the weekends? And we were like, oh, shit, that's awesome. And we were thinking of quitting everything to do that. And then all of a sudden, they're like, hey, the Bad Brains want you to do like a week and a half tour of the Midwest and West Coast. It'd be you guys, Leeway, and the Bad Brains. And I was like, shit, do I become a French farmer or do I actually, there's really no choice. You know?
Holy shit, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You mean your brother living in Paris? It'd be so sick. That's fucking.
Oh, it would have been insane.
So then
it would have been fun, you know.
So that was the first kind of tour for you guys.
Yeah. Well, we did a short East Coast run.
Yeah.
We did shows on our own, but then we did an East Coast run with Exodus in '88, right before the album came out. You know, and it was funny. We got that by accident. Like some band, Annihilator, was supposed to be on it, and then they couldn't do it for some reason. At the last minute, Exodus came. They were in a record label's office because they were on Combat. We were on In Effect.
Yeah.
It was all under Relativity, and it was just like, hey, come and, what bands do you have? We need a band. And they were like, well, Sick of It All could do it. And they were like, New York hardcore. Oh, that's crazy. Let's do it. Gary Holt, who plays in Slayer now, too, he was they were great. The whole band was great to us, you know?
Yeah.
It was awesome.
And that was a different crowd, too, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I feel like you guys always have done that from the beginning of play with different bands, not just hardcore bands. I think it's smart, you know.
Well, we saw things like at that time. There was every once in a while you'd see like, Agnostic Front open up for Slayer in like fucking Ohio.
Yeah.
Or Corrosion of Conformity with Slayer or somebody like that.
Yeah.
And we were like, man, that's so smart. And to us, we loved hardcore so much and how open it was and how it's not rock star bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, we want to spread the word to everybody. But if you just play hardcore shows, these people know it already,
Yeah, it's true.
So we would try to play with, we did. We played with, so many different styles. Like you guys, you do.
Yeah.
Oh, we do a Boss Stones tour and a Rancid tour, but then we go out with Helmet and fucking Sepultura and all that shit.
So smart. I mean, the New Titans on the Block tour was fucking crazy. Like Sacred Right, Sepultura, Sacred Right, Napalm Death, Sick of It All. Sharing the bus with Napalm Death, fucking insane tour, dude.
Oh, that was great.
That was such a diverse
band. Because people, the fans don't know. They're like, oh, it's so different. I remember we had that day off but us and Napalm Death went and played in Lawrence, Kansas at the Outhouse.
Yes.
And I remember going to that show and kids coming up to me going like, after our set, they were like, "Oh man, we were all scared. We thought you guys all went grindcore." We're like, "What do you mean?" Because you play with Napalm Death. And us and Napalm Death, like, we all love the same music. We grew up loving the same exact music, but theirs came out like that and ours came out like this.
Totally.
You know?
That shit was fucking. There was some. I remember Allentown, Pennsylvania, and fucking.
No. That tour started in a riot in Pennsylvania and ended in a riot in Seattle. Remember that, was that band, Fourth Century?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
But there was the one, I don't know what the one tour was where there was dudes in the crowd messing with a Mexican kid, and you stopped the show and said something to him, and we went into the crowd, and then the riot broke out. That was, I forgot what that was.
Oh, that was
Arizona?
Yeah, that was in Arizona, yeah. That's in us. It was us, Biohazard, and
Sheer Terror.
Fear Factory.
Oh, okay.
Well, Sheer Terror did most of it, but that night was Fear Factory.
Dude.
Yeah, you remember that? And the kid, I was saying, "Hey, we didn't come here to see you beat up people." And the guy goes, "Yeah, we didn't come here to hear your speeches. Just play your music." And next thing I know, Pete was in the crowd beating the guy.
That was crazy.
I was like, "Oh shit!" And then we all looked at each other. I guess we're going in.
Dude, it was so crazy. I saw Craig shadowboxing in the corner getting ready, and there was all kinds of shit. I got punched by a girl, and then it was just a crazy. Then we came outside. It was like helicopters and fucking police. It was so crazy, dude.
I remember there was a line of police separating the Nazis and us, and they were yelling, "Go back to New York." I was like, what does that mean?
That was.
I remember though.
Go ahead.
The guy who talked shit to me, I remember he had a silver swastika around his neck, and I remember punching him as hard as I could in the face, and he ducked after I hit him. He grabbed his face. Then I got hit in the side of the head, and I look, and the guy's like towering over me, and all of a sudden he gets hit in the face, and it was Craig.
Oh, shit.
People hitting people left and right. It was so stupid.
Dude, I think Minus was on tour with us too. I think Minus maybe. And
oh yeah.
Dude.
Yeah,
that was a crazy tour, man.
Wait, do you remember this? Pete told this story, but I remembered it different. Remember Jerry was on a table and the bouncer was holding back a bunch of the Nazi guys, and he was on a table. And he had one of those plastic beer pitchers, and he was all scared because of the fight. And the bouncer's going, "Get out of here, get out of here!" And he's standing behind Jerry, going, "Throw it, throw it!" And Jerry didn't know what to do, and he throws it, and it just flies, and he doesn't hit any of the Nazis. He hits the bouncer in the head. It's like this little boink, and it fell. And the bouncer goes, "Fuck this!" And he lets all the Nazis go.
Oh shit! It
was fucking crazy.
I don't know what other tour that was too. There was a guy who was like throwing beer from the balcony at you guys while you're playing, and he's just a drunk guy heckling you guys.
Yeah, that was in Ohio. I forget which.
You're right.
But
and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere,
the balcony was low enough
to
the stage where he's that climb up, or did he run around on the outside?
I feel like he came out from behind, just dragged him into the darkness, man.
Yeah. Remember that? It started like he beat up everybody in that balcony, and then the bouncers came running up to us to go, "Hey, the cops are coming. You guys better get out of here." They were on our side. It was great.
That was crazy too, because it was like totally suspect dudes in the crowd. It was a weird vibe, man. That was just
Well, it was the last song.
Okay.
And I happened to be standing on the balcony, and he dumped his whole pitcher of beer on me. And
That's
I
right.
looked up like, what the fuck? And the next thing I know, he's actually beating him up.
Dude. Just crazy tours back there. Even like fucking when you guys took Korn on tour, that was crazy too.
But they were cool guys. You know, they turned out to be great guys.
Yeah.
You know? It's funny because I remember the first show we played with them. It was in Georgia, and we were all doing sound check, and they were all sitting at the bar eating, and I sat down next to them, and I was like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And they were all kind of like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like all kind of shy.
Yeah.
I was like, that's really weird, you know?
Yeah.
But then years later, getting to know them and talk to them, and they were telling us like, I said to them one day, I was like, "Man, the first time we met, you guys all sat at the bar, and like I said hello, and I thought, and you guys didn't really respond, or you kind of standoffish." And they were like, "You don't understand. We only had a few other tours before that where we had to open for somebody, and everybody were assholes to us." And I was like, "Really?" And they told stories about all these bands, you know, that were just dicks to them because they were, your sound check's over, or you won't get a sound check today, and this and that.
Damn.
Like, you know.
And then they fucking blew the fuck up.
But yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, but they were cool. They were funny because we did that '97 Warped Tour, and I remember playing in Philly,
Mm-hmm.
and we're playing our set, and we're having a great set, and I look on the side of the stage, and these two dudes with dreads like bopping around, and I'm like, oh, these Warped Tour dirt asses checking us out. And then we walk off the stage, and it's fucking the guitar players, that guy Head and Monkey.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, what are you doing here? And they were like, I go, you're on Lollapalooza. And they were like, yeah, we had the day off, and we said we're going to see Sick of It All. I was like, oh my god.
That's fucking
cool.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
So
we ran into them years later, and they were like, we hung out, we said hello to them, and then that guy Monkey looks at us, he goes, yep, you're just like us, man. We're all fucking lifers. He goes, what else are we gonna do, you know?
Yeah, man.
So I'm not gonna. What am I, be a mailman?
So speaking of that, when did you realize that Sick of It All was like, it was going really, obviously you guys are doing really well, then building and getting bigger, and you realized it was like, holy shit, we could actually do this for like a career? Was there a moment or no?
It was weird. It was like, I didn't think that, there was glimpses where you thought, wow, we're going to break really big, just like new metal did. It was around the same time. It was like the mid 90s.
Yeah.
But we never hit where we were like, oh, you're a fucking household name. We got really huge in Europe, and we're kind of like that, where generations still know us, but it's not like a Korn or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But around 97, I was like, holy shit, I don't have to work a day job right now.
Yeah.
Which wasn't bad.
Yeah.
So it's like, I still have that aspiration to try. And it's really kind of dumb to still believe in that, because we're such an older band,
mm-hmm.
and young, the deal. Younger generations might know your name, and they might hear the stories about how even their favorite band will tell them, you have to see, like, go see fucking Madball, because they are the reason we're a band. Those kids, 90% of them could give a shit. No matter how good Madball is, or you are, or Sick of It All is. Those kids are like, yeah, but they're old men.
Yeah, it's true.
But I still have that kind of asterisk. I think it balances the band out. You have like Armand, who's rooted in complete, like, we just have to stay the course. And then there's more like me and Pete, who still kind of want to, let's keep reaching,
Mm-hmm.
And I think it helps, because it still pushes you forward, both aspects of it,
Yeah, totally. What was the last job you worked? Do you remember?
I think it was the mailroom job that we
the
had.
concrete marketing?
Yeah, I think that was it. I would go back and forth. Like, every once in a while, I'd go back and work for them. But 97
you did?
was,
Yeah.
It must have been, yeah.
Nice.
You remember that?
Yeah, we used to work, me, Pete, and Lou used to work at Concrete Marketing, people that are listening, and we worked like,
in the mailroom.
Yeah, Temple of the Dog and Nirvana, all the grunge cassettes, all that shit. Yeah. And then I think sometimes you throw them out the window and say they were smash hit on Broadway, and we throw them on Broadway or something. It was crazy.
Yeah, remember they would, when whatever record we were working, like, remember that band Extreme, and we worked like 3 of their albums. I remember whatever the last album was, when it finished when their contract was up with our marketing company, the boss would go, destroy all this material, because if they send it back to the label would be like, you didn't send this out to everybody.
Shit, you're right.
So we'd have to smash records and CDs and tapes, and there was time you and Pete were throwing you were throwing Extreme cassettes all over Broadway. It would look like a ticker tape parade. I just remember the boss coming to me. I came into work one day, and he's like, hey, Lou, not Kevin, none of our managers.
All right, Kevin,
but
that's
the
right.
big boss, what was his name, Bob, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He came and he goes, hey, Lou, I'm walking to work today. I see fucking tape all over the street, and then I find a broken Extreme cassette. I go, I must have fell out of the garbage.
So we're throwing him out the window.
He goes, you got to destroy him better. Like, yeah, okay.
Did you work at Roadrunner too?
Out the window. They were hanging from the lamppost.
Oh my god, dude! Did you work at Roadrunner too? No, you didn't do that, right?
No, that was you and Pete.
Yeah.
And then I would do like I remember you guys did some demolition work, and I would do stuff in Queens with my brothers. I worked their construction jobs.
Yeah, we helped build.
That was all in between.
Help build the Sound Factory. Me, Pete, Ezek, and Sick of It All. And we working with asbestos and Oh my god, dude, it was so crazy. He's clocked us out. Somebody clocked us out. Said, "Yo, we quit," and we had no choice, and we quit that day. I forgot what happened. It was fucking. It was so crazy.
But I remember the stories that Pete would tell me. He's like, you guys have to go, like, all right, you guys got to sweep up this whole floor. And you would take brand new brooms and you would break the handles. And you go, oh, we got no brooms. And then the foreman would tape them together here.
And we had these busted ass brooms you had to try to sweep up shit with. Oh fuck, man.
Nobody wanted to do it. You know?
No. So, and then obviously, like, what are some other tours I did? Well, I mean, the Europe tour was sick. H2O Civ Sick of It All tour for like 6 weeks. That was crazy, man. It was
It was a long tour, but it was so much fun.
It really was, man. Like, go ahead.
We did a couple of. Well, we did that one big show with Madball Agnostic Front in Berlin.
That's right.
That was a great one. Vinny Stigman made fun of all the guys in Civ for bleaching their hair. He's like, what is it? When did hardcore go to the beauty parlor?
And we used to have crazy fights on the bus, like pillow fights, just all kinds of shit. And then like,
no, remember the first tour we took Snapcase on?
That's right.
Europe.
That's right.
And you would remember you would challenge everybody to bust a fight. You beat up all the Snapcase. Not
Yeah.
For the listeners, not like tough guy fight. It was just fun, hilarious. And you would call Craig out. I'm calling Craig out because he sold out straight edge.
Oh shit! Do you remember? Shit. Remember how we used to always use the phones in the offices because we had no cell phones and we run up these phone bills long distance, dude.
Oh yeah. I remember finding like the Club de Melkweg, finding the in Amsterdam, and we found the side office that was unlocked, and we all just get on the phone and call everybody. And even if you call home, you talk to your parents or your girlfriend or whatever.
Yeah. He
was like, hey, let's call so and so.
And then like MAD hit us up. Oh, we got a phone bill from fucking Chemnitz or whatever the fuck you played at.
Yeah. And we were like, no, it wasn't us. They were like, it was the day you were there. I was like, no, it wasn't.
And then how about Pete was calling me the Berserker because I guess that one day, I forgot what it was. I guess TS and those. I feel like.
Oh, wait. I know what you're talking about. We were in Lisbon, Portugal.
In the gymnasium?
And, above the club, the backstage was a gymnasium.
Yeah.
And we were all just hanging out in it. And Charlie and Sammy from Civ were giving you crap, like messing around with you.
All day.
And they kept like, whatever, just bugging you. And then you were like, you came walking out from somewhere, I guess the bathroom, in just your sneakers. And you said, you guys want to go? Come on. And they remember them running and screaming?
Yeah, I think I rubbed shit on myself too.
That's right. You said you want a piece of this and you were naked, and they laughed, and then you shit in your hand and rubbed it on your chest. And I remember Sid and me gagging, and just like I sat back, oh God, please don't come at me.
I think I chased Sammy and those guys around like in their Fred Perrys.
Oh yeah, they were running and screaming for their lives. That was we used to do stupid shit.
Dude, the ropes everywhere and fucking dude.
Oh my God! You tell people about the ropes, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Pete.
The best thing, well,
go ahead.
Like to me, one of my favorite. Remember, we were, I think it was Long Island, but it was that Biohazard Sheer Terror tour.
Yeah.
And remember Paul standing in the hall. Paul from Sheer Terror. He's tough.
Yeah.
He's not like a bragging tough guy. He's just a hard man. He grew up hard. Blah blah blah. And we were like, hey, come here, check this out. And you were standing on a chair in one end of the room, in the corner of the room, and the other corner room was a pizza box. And you shot a rope of shit across into the pizza box. And he just looked at us like, yeah, you guys must be hard pressed for entertainment. But when he went in the hallway, he was running around. Those guys are crazy. Did you see what they're doing in there? He shocked Paul from sheer terror. That was one of my favorite stories.
It's funny, dude, because now people comment on my Instagram sometimes, like a private account. Hey, rope master. Hey, pussy bro. I'm like, motherfucker, you weren't even there back then. You weren't even fucking around. You had to be there. It was a moment in time, and I think it started from like becoming vegetarian and going to Europe and eating all that fucking vegetarian slop backstage and just. I just remember. I remember Armand was so obsessed with it. He loved watching it and like, you gonna rope? You gonna rope today? You gonna rope today? And just follow me around to see. No, I'm gonna take a normal shit. Leave me alone. Oh my god, dude. He was so obsessed with it.
But he's always been obsessed with shit. Like when we would go to a couple of years later. Remember, we all went to South America, to Argentina together. But years later, like when you weren't there, we would be driving. They pick us up from the airport. We're driving. Oh, my! Like, look, and everybody's looking like, oh, is it some beautiful sight? No, it was a dog shitting on the side of the road.
Oh my god, dude!
And everywhere, and I remember driving, and the promoter goes, "Oh, Armand, look to your right." He's like, "What?" He goes, "Look, a dog shitting." And he goes, "I know what you like."
He's crazy. Oh, you remember the Manchester shit too? The Manchester riot, that was nuts. With the bootleggers.
Oh, yeah, that was on that Civ. Yeah, the tour with you guys in Civ. The bootleggers. Oh, because in Berlin, the English bootleggers. That's when Sick of It All was, huge in Europe. We were on MTV, all that crap.
Yeah.
So they had actual bootleggers, and it's just something that you deal with. But MAD went to be tough, and they all went out there and they roughed up the bootleggers. They stole their shirts, which rightfully so. They made them. Yeah. And then the guy said, "Yeah, we'll see you in Manchester." Of course, Mark wasn't in Manchester, just us. Mm. But remember, we were all backstage, and we saw a group of the guys go, "What are those guys doing towards the bus?" And they tried to throw a beer keg through the bus window. Yes, I remember that. Yeah. Of a double-decker bus. They're idiots.
And they wrote Manchester Mafia on the side of the bus or something, or
yeah.
That was
our favorite part of that is all of us running down, and remember TS, our roadie, the other roadie.
Yeah.
Do you remember TS?
Yeah.
He grabbed a big iron pole, and he runs out, and we ran out to fight these guys, and here comes this couple walking down the street, and he goes, "Is this the guy?" And he hits the guy with his girlfriend with a pipe in the arm. Oh. And I go, "What, are you crazy?" He goes, "Oh, sorry," and he runs at somebody else.
Some random person.
This is gonna turn out good.
What about
full innocent bystander?
What about on tour?
I remember it was either me and Charlie or me and Sammy. We looked at each other. I know Sammy, me and Charlie were standing there. We're like, "Fuck." And I remember you had a giant jar of mayonnaise.
Yes.
And threw it in a guy's face. That
yes.
was all. And then Sammy goes, "Hey, guys." And me and Charlie looked back, and we had garbage cans full of bottles. We just started whipping bottles at
Holy shit, dude.
It's real. People thought it was dangerous. It was just, I never felt like we were going to die. It was all just dumb kid stuff.
Just imagine having cell phones back then, too. Holy shit.
Oh, my God. Be all on. Some guy would be standing outside the world star.
World star. I wish we had cameras for is when we were on tour on the New Titans tour, and EK bleached his hair, and then he decided to go into a chlorine pool. And for some reason, he looked like Rocky Dennis from Mask. It was fucked up.
Yeah. Nobody believed. And the thing that sucks is there were two Polaroids taken of his head that size, and Umbar, who sadly passed away, he had them.
Damn.
So we can't get them. Nobody knows where Umbar's family moved to, and I don't want to be like, "Hey, I know your son passed away.
Can we get these pictures?
Do you have any of his stuff left?"
Yeah. But you could see.
But that was freaky. Remember waking up and, "Hey, there's something wrong with EK." And you're like, "What?" You go, and his head was 3 times the size of what it used to be. He looked like wearing a Mardi Gras head.
And you could see his ears popped out from behind. They were like really
It was crazy. So crazy. And then we had to rush him to the hospital, and they were just like, "Yeah, you have an infection because of all the chemicals you put on your head and then going into a chlorine pool."
Yeah.
And they had to tilt him almost upside down, and they would squeeze his head to get the pus out. Like a giant pimple. Are you
serious, dude? Yeah, maybe
they had to wrap them, and then they wrapped warm towels around it to draw it out too. It's insane.
I remember he had the towels wrapped around his head. He looked so crazy, dude.
Remember the road manager that we shared with Napalm Death. We went to his room. We were like, "Hey, we need to take EK to the hospital." He goes, "Why? What's the matter?" And EK walks in with the towel around his head. He goes, "What happened?" And he goes we go, "Show him." And remember, EK took it off, and he was like, "Oh my God!" Oh, he picked up the phone and he put it down. He's like, "Oh my God!" He picked up the phone, he put it down, and then EK goes, "Man, I look fucked up," and we all just fell down laughing.
I can't even explain it on this podcast, but his face was so swollen. It looked like
really
fake,
to,
looked like makeup from a movie, dude. It looked like,
yeah,
dude.
he did. He looked like somebody blew his head up like a balloon, like Mr. Mackey from fucking South Park when he had his tie around his head. Okay.
So would you say that Scratch the Surface was the biggest pinnacle for you guys, like the biggest?
I think to reaching outside of the hardcore scene, that and to a certain extent built to last.
Oh yeah, true.
And then we we retired. They wanted us to stay on the major label, and maybe we should have, but who knows if we would have got lost. Who knows how the next record would have came out.
Yeah.
But we got tired of the major label. Our contract was up.
Yeah.
And to get off of it, we were doing a 97 Warped Tour. And it was funny because in a major label, the different departments don't really talk to each other. So the people who were going to try to renew our contract weren't really talking to the finance people. So we hit up the finance people. We need tour support. We took as much as they would give us, and we got the best bus we could. And we tried to make ourselves look like, we're not we're not good for the label.
Yeah.
They didn't give a shit because that was still the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Napster and all that was still like a year or so away or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that Warped Tour was fun. That was a great one.
It was, and then
go
ahead.
No, I was gonna say the only reason we got it though was because Helmet was supposed to be on it. They had agreed to it, but then Paige got convinced by the guy from Jesus Lizard was like, "What are you gonna do? Play to teenage skaters? That's what you're gonna play to?" Like he played up to Paige's artsy side. It was like, why not, man? So they pulled out of the tour, and then luckily Steve Martin, our manager, was hanging out with Kevin Lyman. He goes like, because Steve did press for Helmet and for the Warped Tour, and they were talking. He goes like, "Why don't you just put Sick of It All on again?" And he was like, "Yeah, okay."
That's fucking awesome.
That was it. He didn't want to have us on there because on the first Warped Tour, Pete beat up that Nazi guy, and then Warped Tour got sued. We got sued.
Was that in Philly?
Sued. Yeah. And it's funny because even to this day, when we did the Warped Tour in 2017, all these bands came up to us and he goes, "Hey, Kevin Lyman told me to ask you why we have to get our own insurance for the Warped Tour." And when we asked him, he goes like, "Ask Sick of It All." And I'd have to tell the story, and everybody would laugh, or they'd be like, "Oh, that's okay."
Did he jump in the crowd or something?
Who, Pete?
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy, we were playing the show.
This guy was there.
He was standing on the edge of the pit, just clocking kids. Like bang. He was huge. He was a big dude. Yeah. So he's hitting all these kids, and everybody was scared because he had a reputation in that area. And then, as we were finishing, Pete's girlfriend at the time told him that's the guy who she went to a show like a week before, and that guy was picking on a little kid, and she went over and tried and said, "Hey, this kid's not even half your size, blah, blah." And he was like, "Get out of here," and shoved her. And then somebody grabbed him and go, "Yo, that's the guy from Sick of It All's girlfriend." And he apologized to her, and she went, "No, that's not going to cut it." So she was the catalyst that told Pete, "That's the guy who pushed me."
Shit.
So Pete jumps in, and he didn't really even beat the guy up. He jumped in the crowd, and the guy, he went up to the guy, and he said, "You know who I am?" And the guy was like, What? And Pete hit him. And the guy was huge, but one shot in the face, and he went down.
Damn.
But when he went down, every kid that he had punched in the pit jumped and beat the shit out of this guy. So Pete, in reality, Pete hit him once.
Yeah.
Everybody else kicked him into. I remember going into the crowd with remember Tiny?
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Remember Tiny was on that tour. Tiny was a big. He used to be a suicidal. For the listener, he was a suicidal bodyguard. He was a huge guy.
Sweetheart.
And he grabs. He goes, "Yo, your brother's in a fight." So we ran over there, and the fight was over. And this guy stood up, and it looked like he had lumps all over his face. And I was like, "Pete did this," and everybody was like, "No, the whole crowd beat him up." Now this is where hardcore gets weird because this guy, all of a sudden, he had pictures. Like a year later, it was like a year after. All of a sudden, we get sued, and all of a sudden, there's photos of Pete hitting the guy, and then the guys. And I'm like, and there's photos of TS hitting the guy with a rubber hose across the face.
Are you serious?
And all these kids kicking him when the guy hit the ground. And we were in the lawyer's office. The lawyer goes, "Do you know anybody in these photos?" I'm like, "Nope." And our manager at the time, Maria Mogg, looks, that's TS. You can't tell that's TS. I'm like, shut the fuck
Oh
up.
my
What are you
God,
saying
dude.
that for?
Oh
Like,
shit.
I'm like, for a woman who works in hip hop, you don't know about no squealing? What the hell's
Protect.
going on here?
So they sued you guys and the Warped Tour tried to?
They sued all of us, and we all had to pay. All of us paid money. Warped Tour had to pay the
shit.
security of that, whatever that venue was in Philly, and us. We all lost like, you know, almost 10 grand each, or 10 grand each, or something like that.
It's funny because
Yeah,
no phones back then either. So who got the fucking somebody taking photos of the camera and then giving them to somebody?
Yeah, it was a guy actually took photos, printed them, and it was just like, you know, it was somebody who was a photographer, and he didn't. I guess he was a punk kid or whatever, but he didn't know that this guy was a Nazi and that he had kicked the shit out of.
Yeah.
You know? And then we went to court. We talked to, even the judge was like, no matter what this guy did, and he even had a police record of being a bully and all this stuff. He goes like, I'm sorry, you know, you guys legally he wins because you guys beat the shit out of him, meaning like the crowd and you know.
Yeah.
So.
Holy fucking! I wonder how those photos got from that guy to like the victim. It's so weird, dude.
I remember. It was so weird. I was standing there with Tiny, and what was the other the guy who'd always worked the Warped Tour security with the beard? I can't think of his
Kenny?
name. He's still there.
I don't know.
I don't remember his name, but he's a really nice guy.
He was at Music. Yeah.
Yeah, I was standing there talking to him and Tiny, and this girl comes and goes, yeah, big tough guys, 20-on-1. And I look at her and go, do you know what this fucking guy did? He hits women. He hit little kids. I go, did you see who was hitting him? There's 20 little kids that he hit. And she was just like, what? And it's like, people didn't know. And it was really weird to me. And so this photographer went up, hey, I got pictures of the whole thing, and told him, that guy.
Oh, fuck. So, being in the, I obviously I've been in the band with my brother for a long time too. He's not in the band no more, but he comes back and forth. But is it being in the band with your brother? Is it always been? Is it like just up and downs, or has it always been awesome, or is it hard sometimes?
It's been better than bad. You know, there are some times when we're at odd about stupid things. You know, I mean, we've been together so long, all four of us. It's kind of laid out where like, if there's something uncomfortable to talk about with Pete, the guys go through me. But now I know Armine now usually goes directly to Pete. But there was a long period where it was like, hey, you know, we need to talk to Pete about this. You think you could breach it with him? And I'm like, all right, cool. You know, and it's like, if I breach it, even if he reacts negative, at least when we all bring it up together, he's prepared for it and he knows, all right, I understand, you know? Yeah. And a lot of the times it's me and Pete, you know, it's weird to split. It just happened. Like, we're like making band decisions. It's like Armand and Craig want this, but me and Pete decide on this side, you know? And it's not to say that there are times where I'm like, no, I agree with Armand, but it just so happens that like I said before, I think me and Pete have more of an idea of like, we have to keep trying to grow sick of it all. Yeah. And Armand is like, if we should just stay the course because we're at a good position, you know? Yeah. I mean, we're trying, and it's hard because at this point in your career, we're like, this is where it changes. I'm always willing to, like, if there's a younger band that's way more popular than us, but they want to tour with us and they want to headline, I'm like, I'm all for it. Yes. But sometimes Pete is like, we're fucking sick of it all. We shouldn't have to open for this band. And I'm like, not to say that he's arrogant. Yeah. It's not anything to do with arrogance. It's we've built our career up to a certain point, you know? Yeah. And a lot of the times, those bands don't want to do that. They don't want to headline over you. And it backfired. Like we did the United Blood Fest a bunch of years ago, and it was like right when Turnstile, before they were big as they are, they were like the underground hits for Turnstile, Take Offense, and whoever. And they all played, and they all made us headline because you're the legendary Sick of It All. Yeah. And we went on. 90% of the crowd was on their way home already, you know? Yeah. It's like you respect things too. I know it's hard, man. Because you guys have been doing it for how many years now? Now this year's like 33, I think. Wow. Did you ever feel like quitting and not doing it, or no? Yeah, there was times, you know, you get fed up. Either you get like when we used to tour constantly, like on Scratch the Surface, we would, you remember
Grinding.
those? We would tour
Yeah,
forever,
dude.
man.
Yeah.
But we slowed it down.
Yeah.
And then there's just certain times you get frustrated. You put out like a great record, everybody loves it, but then the tours don't do it, and then you can't get on tour. It's every year. This year too, we put out one of our best records we've done in decades, and everybody loves it. Bands love it. The fans love it. But then you can't get on tours just because of the age of the band. And Pete's thing is always like, put us on fucking tour, and you'll see who looks old and who looks,
it's true.
Who looks like an old band.
It's true.
But that backfires on us too, because we've had bands, huge bands, tell our booking agent it's too hard to go on after those guys.
Yeah,
and we're like,
that.
what do you mean?
Yeah.
You have these bands have like semi-commercial hits or hits in the hardcore and punk scene where like 10,000 people are singing every word, but they say like, yeah, but we just feel that we're not working hard enough after seeing you guys play.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, well, we're working hard because we don't have all the sing-alongs. We want to just entertain the crowd. That's our stick.
Yeah. It's like ageism.
So we've been turned down for tours. Yeah, we've been turned down for tours because you were too hard to play after.
That's crazy, dude. So you could be shitty live, then you can get tours. It's crazy.
Yeah, we would say stuff like, we joke around, like, tell them we'll play shitty. Tell them we'll put on a half-ass show.
I mean, there's one thing that is 100% true about Sick of It All is every time I see you guys play, it's always 110%. Even at this age, like the way you guys move on stage is everything. I know it's because you guys still love and believe in it and passionate about it, but like, it's pretty amazing. Even to 10 people or 10,000 people, you guys always give it 110%. I always respect it about you guys. It's like, it's never a bad show.
Thanks. I mean, that's what Kevin Lime says on that 2017 Warped Tour. He called up Storm and he goes like, we've had our differences, but I watch Sick of It All every night because if it's 50 people or 500 or 5,000, they're giving the same energy every night. And it's like, we don't know how to do it any other way.
I know. And I think that's...
It was funny. We were standing on the stage watching one of the newer bands that, like Attila or whatever those bands are. And they were playing like 5,000 people. And there was like 300 people waiting for us to come on.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking and I didn't know, but the stage manager was standing behind us. And I go to Pete, I go, yeah, remember when in 97 we drew that crowd? And he's like, yeah. And then the guy leans over and goes like, yeah, but you think any of those guys ever punched a Nazi in the face? I don't think so. And we all just started fucking laughing. Like, yeah, that's true.
It's so crazy because I feel like
around, we played.
I feel like Sick of It All was one of the hardest bands that Warped Tour had on at first, I would say.
Yeah, we were the first hardcore band that they had. And, I mean, it was good. Like I said, we did have some troubles, but I think we got it so that other bands could get on and then get themselves kicked out. Didn't Scarhead, was on there for like a day or something?
They were on there for
or somebody.
Yeah, that was quick. And then later on, like Hatebreed was on there. Like, but I would say for hard bands, you guys are the first ones to be on there to desperate. You know what I mean? Like set the record.
I remember that tour. It was, I forget what year it was, but it was Hatebreed and Deftones were on that one.
Fuck, I remember seeing Deftones on there too. Fuck, are you a Deftones fan?
I like a lot of their stuff. I'm not a huge fan, but I've seen them live a bunch of times. I especially love it with, I mean, we met them on that first Warped Tour. We all played dates in California together. Same thing with No Doubt. We met them on the Orange County show. And that was cool because we were going on at like 2 p.m. on the little truck stage. And I turned around and it's the two horn players made the whole band to go, you got to come and see these guys.
That's
and
awesome.
It was really cool that the two horn players dragged the whole of No Doubt to watch Sick of It All play.
It's fucking
and
awesome.
It's weird. Every time we've done something, like we did the prototype of the Warped Tour, we had flown from South America to California, and it was called Board in South Bay or something like that.
Wow.
I still have a skateboard with all the bands on it.
Oh, shit.
And they were. The funny thing was, every ska band that played, Mustard Plug and all those bands, and Aquabats, they all shouted out, we can't wait for Sick of It All to play. Ska bands loved Sick of It All. They loved our energy. It was amazing.
It's so random.
I feel bad for making jokes about them all these years.
Is there so what do you listen to? Like, are you listening to new stuff, or what do you listen to? I know you listen to hardcore all day long, like people think.
I do. You know, the funny thing is, a lot of people go, I don't listen to hardcore. I do. I listen to. It is hard to find new bands that stand out because you sit there and it's whatever it is, whatever genre. Like everybody loved Power Trip, and I think they're a really good band. But when they, you know, my friend Mike Scandato from The Last Stand and Human, he comes, you got to hear Power Trip. I'm sitting there with him and I'm like, all right, that's an Exodus riff, you know. But I got to calm down my old manness and just enjoy the music,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, you listen to a lot of different for old stuff. You know, I listen to old stuff, old Motown. I love girl groups. I love, you know, what's the Supremes are like one of my favorite groups of all time.
That's awesome. I never knew that.
And I listen to that shit. When I want to hear old school shit, I listen to that's my old school, you know. But, you know, I listen to like, you know, old school punk, old school hardcore, but I listen to newer stuff too, you know.
What about hip hop?
You know, that's the one thing I haven't found any new shit I like.
Yeah.
And if it is, it sounds like the old style stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like I was saying to you the other day, I heard the new Redman and I was like, I don't know. And I listened to it, I'm like, oh, this takes me back. I just love his voice.
Yeah.
Redman's got a good voice. I love his voice, you know? But hip hop, I only listen to older stuff. I try some of the new stuff, and I'm not saying there aren't good songs out there, but sometimes I just don't get it. Like, I don't get the whole Drake thing. I don't get a lot of stuff, you know?
Yeah. And maybe
that last Eminem album was amazing.
Amazing,
I was never
dude.
a big fan of Eminem.
Amazing.
But then I heard that, and I was like, you know, I always respected, like, I'll hear mixtapes from back then, and he would be on it, and I'd be like, holy shit, this guy's really good. And now, what an amazing guy.
The fucking beast. Maybe we're not supposed to get it. Maybe we're too old to, like, get the newer stuff. I mean,
exactly.
It's like... I remember you had your ex-girlfriend used to work at the Ritz, so we got to go to all those fucking shows at the Ritz all the time, dude.
Yeah, we'd go see
every band.
Like De La Soul with you know, with Tribe Called Quest, and then a year later was Tribe Called Quest with De La Soul opening.
Yeah,
you know,
it's true.
Eric B. and Rakim, and God, and I saw like Sisters of Mercy.
I was going to say that.
Puppy, all this weird stuff that I would never go see. And I was like, I got it for free, man.
I think BJ worked the coat check
too. We all saw
too.
Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Yeah, we did.
Right?
Yes, we did. I got ticket stubs for that shit too. It was such a crazy time, man. All that shit.
Remember we were sitting in that audience. We were in the VIP section, and it was like being in a jet engine because all the little girls were screaming so loud.
From Marky Mark.
Yeah, and when he dropped his pants and he did his Calvin Klein underwear dance, I was like, oh my God, my ears were bleeding. It was worse than any Manowar show I've ever seen.
We saw so many shit. Were you at CB's when I met Madonna? I don't know if you were there. That was like a Cypress Hill.
Yeah, I was outside. That was at the Booyah Tribe thing,
yeah,
right?
Dude, it was the night before Lollapalooza got rained out in New York. That was crazy. And then Madonna, were you there with the Madonna at the Rancid show?
I was upstairs.
Yeah, me and Pete were there. That was crazy.
Pete went down and met Madonna.
Yeah, that was weird shit. It's such a weird time for music too.
Did you read that book about
No, but Pete told me about it. He told me what the whole story's wrong.
Got the story all wrong.
I know.
He made the whole Madonna story backwards. It's so weird.
I'm going to do a whole Madonna episode, but I'm going to talk about what really happened because, it wasn't even like that. We shook her hand. It was totally chill. Nobody was fanboying out.
And that's the thing. The guy in the book, the guy is saying like, all these tough New York guys, DMS guys. First of all, we weren't DMS.
No.
You know, we knew those guys.
Yes.
And I wasn't even there. I was upstairs.
Yeah.
In the VIP section. I didn't go downstairs. And he said like, they all looked at the ground and couldn't look Madonna in the eye. Didn't she say hello to you guys? And she said to Pete, I love your album, because she was looking at bands and she looked at Sick of It All's Scratch the Surface because we were on the major, you know.
Yeah, Freddie DeMann was talking to her. In the end, when I shook her hand, she goes, I remember you. And then she turned my arm and showed Freddie DeMann my Madonna tattoo because I met her at CB's. Like, how can she not forget a bunch of tattooed freaks meeting her at CBGB's? I mean, it was fucking awesome. Then I ended up being a Madonna coffee. I got to be in the Madonna coffee table book after that. I got hit up by one of her people, and they did my whole story about meeting her at CB's. It's pretty cool. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, and then the House of Pain shit, that was awesome. Like the remix, like that was good times back then. Fuck, man.
That was another thing. That was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
You know, just hanging out with those guys. They just wanted to meet all hardcore guys. Cause
yeah.
No matter what anybody says, those guys saw a picture of Agnostic Front or the Cro-Mags. It's like, this is how we have to look. And then they looked into it and they saw the whole scene like that, you know?
Yeah, I think they love.
Because, I mean, look at Everlast when I'm not taking anything away from their skills, but look at Everlast when he first came out on Ice-T's label. and then what House of Pain became, you know?
Yeah.
It was the look I'm talking about. They look like hardcore guys. They had flight jackets and shaved heads and tattoos.
Yeah,
You know?
I thought they were from New York originally
But they
too.
were cool as shit, you know?
Awesome dudes, man. That
But
was
a lot of people don't understand that, you know, especially New York hip hop. It was such like they grew up together, hardcore and hip hop. That's why it was like so easy for us to ask KRS-One to do something, you know?
Yeah.
And it was great. That guy, he's one of the coolest guys I've ever met.
Yeah, that was a game changer.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, when we did our 25th year anniversary album, and we re-recorded all the songs the way we wanted them to sound. We did Clobbering Time. We said, well, we got to get KRS-One, and we called him up, and when we finally got a hold of him, we talked to him, hey, we want to do it. He's like, of course I'm going to do it. We're like, all right, what do you want? And he didn't even talk to his management team. He goes, send me 3 XXL T-shirts. And then he did the intro, and then he did a freestyle over Clobbering Time to boot. And he said, here, just use everything. Didn't ask for money, didn't ask for royalties. So such a nice guy.
That's amazing, dude. How'd you connect with them back then? Like how'd that connect happen?
That was my oldest brother's girlfriend was working in a studio. She was a receptionist and she was a singer, so she worked in the studio and she got free studio time. And she came home from work one day and she goes, I go, hey, who's in your studio? And she goes, oh, you wouldn't know. His name's KRS-One. I go, oh, Boogie Down Productions. She goes, you know KRS-One? And I go, yeah. And I show her my Philosophy cassette.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay. And the next day she went and told him, like, yeah, my boyfriend's younger brothers are in a hardcore punk band and they love your music. And he was like, no way, I got to meet these kids. So she calls and says, hey, he wants you to come to the studio one night. He was working on his then wife, Miss Melody's solo album.
Holy shit.
And we went down and we just talked to him. And, you know, he was like, we just started talking about stuff and we were talking about different things like samples. And I was like, we talked about the Eric B. and Rakim 7 Minutes of Madness remix. And he was like, yeah, I love when they have the Indian girl singing in the background. That was cool. And then Armand goes, hey, would you do an intro? No, one of us said, could you do an intro on our record? I don't remember who said it. And he goes, sure. What do you want me to say? And we was like, yeah, you know, Sick of It All, KRS-One. And so he did it. And then Armand goes, how's that? And I was like, that's great. And Armand goes, could you say Blastmaster? And he goes, oh, you want the old school shit. And he went and he said, you know, Sick of It All, Blastmaster, KRS-One. And it just said, you know,
spreading the hardcore reality. Yeah, dude. So amazing. Nobody, like, that was insane for that to happen way back then. You know what I mean? Back then, no hip hop was hardcore like that.
Yeah.
I mean, was there Public Enemy Anthrax song out then
like
or
that
no?
House. What?
Was Anthrax Public Enemy shit out back then or no?
I'm not sure.
Bring the Noise? I'm not even sure either, man.
I don't know. I'd have to check. It might have been, but I don't know. But like with that House of Pain thing, when we asked them to do the remix, and they said DJ Lethal goes, I'll do it for free. And he did it for free, but of course the management was like, oh, well, we have these studio costs. And it was like, I think they wanted $5,000.
Oh.
And so we brought it to our label, and the label's like, nobody's going to care about this rock rap shit. That was their answer. And then like a year later, Judgment Night came out and fucking blew up. Like
Holy
crazy.
Shit. So that song, what happened with that song? It's just sitting on tapes. Is this cassette?
We would try, when we heard Judgment Night was happening, we were like, we got to see if we could get this on there. But of course, you know, the label didn't try because they didn't own it. Nobody owned it except DJ Lethal had it, and we had copies on cassette, and we just started bootlegging the cassette and handing it out to people.
Damn.
But that tour, when House of Pain toured that year, while they were doing the remix for us, I remember getting a call from my friend in Florida, and he was like, yo, we went to see House of Pain last night, and Rage Against the Machine opened up, and then right before House of Pain, the lights went down. All of a sudden, we hear the bass intro to Just Look Around, and we're like, what the fuck, is Sick of It All playing? And he said that, you know, all the hardcore kids that were there were like, oh, shit. And they came out to an instrumental version of Just Look Around without my voice. They pulled my voice out. And I was like, fuck, I wish I could have seen that.
Holy shit. They only did it there on that tour? That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Fuck. You remember those shows were so sick
cool.
in New York, like at the Academy, Rage Against the Machine, House of Pain. There was such crazy bills back then, too.
Oh, God, yeah.
Social D
I
too.
remember Rage Against the Machine selling out 5 nights at the Roseland, and me and Pete went one night, and then somebody told Zach that we were there, and he got us like, it was great because going back to working at Concrete,
Yeah.
we were all standing in the VIP section. They had a roped off section, and I remember the roadie coming and putting 2 chairs in front of the ropes and dragging me and Pete right in front of our boss and sitting us down in front of him. And he was standing in the back, and he was so pissed.
He's like, what the fuck? Dude, that's so
like,
crazy.
These guys work in my mailroom. They throw tapes out the window.
So also obviously in the band there's so many sacrifices. We miss people's weddings, we miss their funerals, we miss people's fucking having babies. People don't understand like the sacrifice. Like it's a blessing and a curse. Like you get to go on tour and do what you love, and then once you're out there, you miss, especially having a family. It's just kind of hard to balance it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I missed my best friend May's wedding because we had a tour, and I begged the guys that maybe we should cancel, but it was like, it's at that point where you make your living from touring.
Totally.
So we'd had the tour.
Yeah.
And so I missed her wedding. It was weird. Both my grandparents passed away. Like I'd go to see my grandparents and be like, I remember I was here for my grandfather when he passed away, but when my grandmother, I remember going to see her, saying goodbye to her. She was really sick. And we're like, okay. And the day we landed in like the Midwest to start a helmet tour, they were like, oh yeah, grandma passed away last night. We're like, oh shit, we have to come home. They're like, just the whole family was just stay. What are you going to do? You can come to the funeral and that's it.
Yeah.
You feel bad, but at least I did get to say goodbye to her.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
I was on tour when another good friend of mine, she had cancer. It was a friend of mine from England. And me and her husband got close, and we were all hanging out all the time. And it's weird because it was the first time we played Hong Kong, and I was going to fly. I was going to change my flight to go to London to see her, and then go to the States. We went right into a suicidal tour. But I was like, I want to go home and see my family, And I called her husband, and he was like, yeah, she's okay. She gets weaker every day, but go. You have a suicidal tour right away. Just go see your family, and then afterwards fly to England. So I went home, saw my family for a week, and then went on a suicidal tour. And then a week into the suicidal tour, right before I went on stage in Florida, I get my phone's ringing, and I answer it, and it's my friend Dave. He goes, she's gone. He's bawling on the other side. And here I am, trying not to cry because he's crying, and then trying not to cry because it's my really good friend, and I got to go on stage and get people crazy.
Damn, dude.
And you just got to swallow it down and do it.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, you go walk off somewhere alone, and then, and I tell the guys, and they knew her too, but it sucks.
Fuck, man. Yeah, people don't know, like,
you feel guilt.
Yes.
Yeah.
I heard that, well, it's true that on that, when Misfits played Jersey last year, whatever, Danzig's mom died that same day, and he went and played their show that night. It's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. People don't know all the behind-the-scenes shit,
Yeah, you just got to swallow that shit down and then deal with it later. Then you feel like I should be in mourning, this and that. But then, I never thought of this then, but I think of it now. My friend she would have laughed at me if I was like, she'd be like, get the fuck on stage and do it.
Yeah.
She was funny.
Yeah.
She was like a girl who liked hardcore, but was more into rock and roll. And she would always look at me and be like, you really going to wear that on stage? I'd be like, yeah, why not? She's like, you're a grown man. Why are you still wearing shorts? And I was like, you're right.
It is true. Are we too old to wear shorts on stage? That's a good question because me and Adam always have debates like, are we wearing camel shorts or wearing like just regular man pants tonight on stage? Is there like, are you ever too old to wear shorts on stage? I see you wear jeans. You wear pants all the time now.
I do, yeah. I went back. If you look at the original photos of Sick of It All before, I would always be wearing long pants and I would always wear long sleeve, either Skull Skates or Thrasher shirt.
I remember that.
So that was my deal.
Yeah.
But now I don't wear the long sleeve shirts, just the pants. I feel like and everybody, kids, or not even kids, the older goes, oh, I see you're into the skinny jeans. I'm like, yo, it's holding my knees together, man.
And you're skinny anyway. I also noticed you wear Vans on stage too. Is that hard to jump around in?
No, you know what? And I like Vans, and they've always treated us really well. Yeah. But for me, my favorite stage sneakers are Converse. For some
I noticed
reason,
that
they
too.
just feel light.
Yeah.
They feel light. But with the new insoles
Yeah,
that
Converse 2s.
Nike
Yeah.
makes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But Converse kind of dissed me, man. They used to give me free sneakers, and now I call them up for a couple of tours back, and they were just like not returning my calls. Like, I guess I'm in the old man file. Like,
No,
don't
man.
give them anything. We want to appeal to the youngsters.
I mean, Ramones always wore Converse on stage, but they didn't jump around like you jumped around. So I mean, the ankle support must be.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, I like the high top. You know, I wear my Sick of It All. I got 2 pairs of the Sick of It All Vans. I wear one on stage.
Oh, that's cool.
Those are good too.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, being vegetarian now, like I followed after you guys, vegetarian. I feel guilty when I get sneakers that got suede and shit on it. I'm like, man. But I know you can get you know, the high top old schools made custom in canvas.
Yeah, and there's
yeah,
like,
get on that, man. Get them to do a H2O fucking canvas high top so I
I
can wear it
know.
on stage.
There's I'm gonna say I'll send you a picture when we get off the phone. But there's the all black classics with the stripe, like the ones you wearing in high, the lows, the all black on blacks. Those ones are all vegan because those used to be the Davy AFI ones, the all black canvas ones.
Ah.
It's interesting, but it's Craig told me when I interviewed him that he brought sneakers into hardcore. He
brought what?
Sneakers into hardcore. He's the first person to wear white high top sneakers in the hardcore scene.
He wore those like Iron Maiden fucking white high tops, you know, tongue and all that.
Back in
That's what Vinny Stigma used to say. He goes, "You brought sneakers into hardcore, you ruined it."
Because everybody's wearing boots back then, and then he fucking rolled with the high tops.
I got my I remember getting my uncle gave me his old combat boots, which were like a size too big. So I'm like walking around with these combat boots that are size too big for me, looking like a goofy kid.
Yeah, you always rocked. You used to rock high tops too. I remember that. That was like the thing back then.
Yeah,
and then
I couldn't afford. But then you started getting to like, oh, we jump around a lot. I need support, so we all wear Nikes and this and that.
Youth of today rocking those Jordan ones.
Good.
Yeah. It's crazy because I think a lot of hip hop fashion came into the hardcore scene too a little bit, back
exactly.
then.
Yeah, it was like a trade off, It was like, oh, they all started wearing flight jacket, and then the weird thing is a lot of people credit hip hop for the explosion of Carhartt, which it did in the videos, but hardcore people were wearing work clothes like Dickies and Carhartt.
Ben Davis, all that shit. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Ben Davis on the West Coast, and here it was Carhartt.
We used to go to Dave's Army Navy on 23rd Street. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just did an interview for Carhartt, and
nice.
They're doing a whole thing about how the underground culture of New York, the hardcore scene and the hip hop scene, helped spread the brand beyond just the workman. And a lot of guys, like we were doing construction for in between tours, so you had to wear Carhartt.
When those hoodies first came out, they were so fucking thick. Dude, it was so good. Those shits first came out. And then maybe say like House of Pain was rocking them and Cypress Hill. But yeah, the hardcore kids were definitely I feel like with Champion sweatshirts too, like Champion's huge now. My son's like, I want some Champion shit. I'm like, really? Dude, Champion's it's crazy how massive Champion is now. It's it's crazy, like this huge resurgence of it, but it's not made the same like it was for us.
Do you remember we all used to get Champion basketball jerseys, the regulars, at an outlet, and just silk screen on them.
Dude.
The same thing with the work shirts. And then, work shirts and old work shirts. You used to be able to buy them by the bulk, like, oh, give me,
cheap.
It's like $3 a pound.
Yeah.
And you get you buy them by the pound and then silk screen on them. I remember the first year we brought out the work jackets, and it said like "Sick of It All, built to last" on it or something.
I remember those.
And that was at that Warped Tour.
Yeah.
And kids were like, how much are your jackets? And we were like, $20, because it cost us $1 for the jacket and then cheap. Like $2 to screen it. And we'd be like $20, and we felt guilty, like, wow, we're making like a $17 profit. And the kids would be like, you're selling jackets for $20. And we're like, yeah. And they're like, give me 3 of them,
Yeah, and then you go to Japan and sell them for like $60. I remember going to Japan with the work shirts when we first went there. Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
It's so crazy, the prices back then.
That was fun. Remember that first Japanese tour? It was
what year was that?
At that one club.
Oh yeah.
God, 92. Everything happened in 92.
Liquid Room?
First European
I know what it
tour.
was. Yeah, that's right.
Club Antioch.
That's right.
It was remember we had to go downstairs. And we walked from the hotel to the club and back.
That was
you would just scream at random people on the street.
Oh, that's right.
You scream. As Japanese people are the best because you would go, ah, and scream at them, and they would just laugh. They would fucking laugh like crazy.
Such a culture shock. And then I remember going to South America with you guys, too, one of the first times. That was crazy, too.
Oh, yeah.
That was amazing.
That was great.
And then Europe, when we were in a van, like Mark MD was driving, excuse me, a van. Remember we were in a van in Europe? I remember this, man. The glass broke in the window or something, or...
Yeah, it was. We drove all night through snow, through rain, whatever.
Yeah.
And Mark he would drive. I remember Social D, that album that was on the first one on CBS Records. That was the one that we played that over and over
again.
We'd all be singing it. See, that's a good time. That was a great time.
Great time. Was that from Between Heaven and Hell? Was that one? I don't know which one that was.
It was the one before Between Heaven and Hell. Just self-titled. But do you remember? We played some show. I don't remember which East German city. We played some youth center, and it was a great show. And the people were like, "Oh, you stay at our apartment." And we all walked in. They had this beautiful apartment. It was really nice and warm because it was dead of winter.
Yeah.
And we're like, "Oh, this is awesome. Where do we sleep?" And they opened this door, and it was like you went through a dimension, and it looked like an abandoned building. You remember the floor was bare, but for like 7 mattresses laying on the floor. We all laid down with our coats on, and it was like so cold in there. And Mark goes, "So it's only 6 hours to the next city. What do you say we just drive?" And we got up, and then he yelled at them in German and made them give us money for a hotel, and we just drove to the next town.
Oh, fuck! That sounds sounds like torture, man. Yeah, people think it's all glamorous touring, and it's like it's not, man. It's so fun, but those 23 hours leading up to the 1 hour we get to play can be so fucking brutal. Trying to eat and sleep.
Yeah,
dude.
Exactly. Back then, especially, yeah. Now you got to take care of yourself, and some guys never. It's funny, Craig. On the last tour, Craig invited a friend of his to come along, and the guy came up to me, and goes like, "Are you going out today? I noticed you leave the backstage every day." And it was winter, and I'm like, "Yeah, it's beautiful. Look, it's snowing. We're in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Don't you want to see Switzerland?" And he goes like, "Yeah, it's Craig, and he never leaves. As soon as he gets Wi-Fi, he just sits in the backstage."
All day?
I was like, well, he probably, seen it all before.
100 times.
But, then I ended up having to be a tour guide for this fucking guy and go, "Hey, let's go over here. Let's look at this."
I mean, it's kind of cool. Like, I bring Max on tour. He gets to see shit I've already seen. I've seen a million churches in Prague, but, like, to bring somebody else and see it through their eyes is cool. It makes it better,
exactly.
I guess. But it's like,
yeah,
you got to be creative on tour because otherwise you lose your mind and you get homesick and you just get fucking, it's hard, man. It's like, everybody does their own thing on the tour, too. Like, Rusty goes searches for coffee in every fucking city. Adam works out. It's just like, everybody has their thing to do. Go ahead.
Pete gets up and works out. I just go and I explore. I used to just walk randomly, and it was always hit or miss where I'd find something cool, and then I'd get back to or I'd not really see anything, get back to the club, and then, like, like the merch guy would be like, "Hey, if you went to the right, they had this." And I'm like, "Shit." So now I look up what's in the town because, thank God for the internet. I look up what's around. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go look. But our mind leaves like we found like a Man of War bar in I think it was the Czech Republic.
Damn.
Or somewhere. I forget where. But we were like, it's a Man of War bar, and it's a 30-minute walk. But we all went there and we hung out and we talked to the owner, and he was like, "Yeah, the guys." I think the bass player owns part of it. It was just fun hanging out. But when we got there, they were playing like pop music videos, and we were like, "This is a fucking Man of War bar. What is this shit?" And the guy goes, "We can't play, to tourists." So he went and he put on all Man of War videos for us.
That's fucking awesome. What town's that in? Where is that at?
I gotta look it up again. I forgot because I'm the guy in the band. It's like I don't even know what city I'm in most of the time.
Yeah. Did
I'm getting messages now. They're like, "Hey, when you play on the 10th, you're playing this city." I'm like, "Oh, I thought that was at the end of the tour." No, it's the first show.
Did you go to the Ramones Museum in Berlin too?
Is it? You know what? I walked past it this last tour.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just a fucking bar.
Yeah.
What the hell is that?
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of shit in there, but yeah.
I went to Jimmy Marino's house and saw a lot better shit.
Yeah, me too, dude. His glass cases full of all that shit's crazy, man.
He's got Johnny Ramone's Yoo-Hoo shirt. He's got Dee Dee Ramone's sneakers.
It's fucking crazy. He's got the real shit. What do you think? What do you think that you credit to your band's longevity, and what made you guys keep going and still be passionate about it, especially in your age now? But obviously, I feel like you guys look all young, and this music keeps you young.
Yeah, it does keep you young. It's funny, like seeing, you know it. You see your friends who aren't in bands, and
Dude.
you're like, God, how old are you? And they're like 10 years younger than you. And you're like, you don't look it. But it's just as cliche as it sounds. I love this. I don't want to do anything else,
I
you
know.
know. And we've built our lives around it, so that at this point to change would be really hard. But it's like yeah, for all the 23 hours of bullshit,
Yep.
it's still the greatest when you get up there and you make people smile. We like on this last tour, the Persistence tour we did.
Yeah.
There were some nights in like even in our biggest countries like Germany, because there's like 7 bands on that freaking tour, and we're the
Yeah.
headliner.
It's right.
And you'd get on there, and it would take till the third song for these people to kick in, because they
Mm-hmm.
were been doing it all day. So we're playing London, and we're like, oh, it's the last show of the tour. I hope it doesn't suck.
Yeah.
London's a weird town. We've always had great shows there, but you always get warned. Yeah, London. It's like New
Totally.
York. They could be. We the lights went down, and the place started cheering like it was, a rock show. And you
Awesome.
came out, and we saw. It was great to see all these people that we've seen through our whole career, like right
Yeah.
up front, and then you see these young kids going wild, and we're like, "There's young kids here. This is amazing." But it was so awesome, and that was worth it. Like you
Yeah.
play, and you see all these, and they're singing the new songs, not just like when you go to the States and it's like, well, let's do 90% of the first album, and
Yeah.
then the other 9 albums we'll just take one song each off of.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome to
But
see young kids there, man.
yeah, and the whole thing, even in the States, like we'll play new stuff that people like, but the ones who make the most noise are all the old school fans. They just want to hear the first album and blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. I mean, we're lucky. I see guys who come to our shows, and I don't even know if they know we have anything or have listened to anything past the first album.
It's
But they'll
crazy.
stand up front until you play that one song. Like,
Yeah.
they'll stand up front. But when we hit My Life or Injustice System or
Yeah.
Friends Like You, then they go berserk. you know?
Or they bring their kids now too. Like people bring their children to the shows. They grew up with you, and they're raising their kids on it. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fucking different
That was
generations.
that's a good. Yeah, especially again. Well, here in the States, there's a lot of that too, but especially in Europe.
Yeah.
Like in the States now, we end up playing a lot of like 18 and over, 21 and over shows, just because that's the promoters say that's the demographic. But we'll always get a fan writing like, "Hey, is this show all ages? I want to bring my kid. They love you." Blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had an incident in Reno, the last U.S. tour we did. We were in Reno, and we went to they said there's 150 tickets sold, and we walk into the room that we're playing because it's the all ages room.
Yeah.
It was a fucking 1,100 capacity room,
Damn.
and we were like, "Are you kidding me? This is 1,100 capacity room. It's the only all ages venue we got." And we look right next door, like there's a doorway. It's there's a stage there, and it's a kind of but it's not all ages. And we were like, "How many all ages tickets do you think we sold?" The guy goes, "I don't know." So we moved the whole show to 21 and over.
Wow.
And we had our road manager stood at the door, and when they said, "We're sorry, the show has been switched to 21," they even put it out on on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But people who came and they were like, "Well, we wanted to be sick of it all." We would give them T-shirts. It was like we gave them shirts. We was like, "We're sorry, it's our fault, but we don't want to play that giant room."
Yeah.
And it was literally 4 kids.
Yeah.
We felt bad. They didn't get to see us, but we gave them free shirts.
Yeah.
And we were just like, let's just play,
Yeah.
And we
that's
had an amazing
crazy.
show
Yeah,
because
I'm
it
sure.
wasn't in a 1,100 capacity room with
ridiculous.
150 people.
Yeah. Is that the Murphy's Law tour?
Yeah.
That was a great fucking package, man. That was a great LA show. Like I have to say, living in LA for this many years and seeing New York bands come through can be very fickle. I even think that was on a weeknight. That shit was awesome. The Roxy show. I mean, just the vibe.
That was a lot of fun.
You two guys together. It's such a great package.
It worked. It was really weird. It's funny, like getting back to playing with Murphy's Law was weird. I remember the first show was our anniversary, the 30-year anniversary show, and we had the lineup, but we were talking about the lineup, and Pete, we had a conference call, and Pete goes, "Well, we're playing New York, and it's a party. Murphy's Law has to play." And
awesome.
I was like, "I love Murphy's Law. I love them, but Pete, you haven't been living up here. left to their own devices, their shows kind of go off the rails sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in not a good way. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying this to diss Jimmy. I'm just
Yeah.
saying they tend to go long-winded for my taste.
Yeah.
But Pete Pete was like, no, let's do it. We were like, all right, let's do it. You know, we all talk about how great Murphy's Law Jimmy is, probably one of the best frontmen you'll ever see.
Totally.
In not just hardcore, but
everything in general, comedian, everything.
And
yeah.
So we did that run with them, ending in New York, and we were like, it ended up being there was a Manipulate from New York, then there was our friends from Hong Kong, King Lychee, and then Murphy's Law, and then the Street Dogs and us. And as we were up in the dressing room watching the show, I turned to the guys and go, thank fucking God the Street Dogs are in between us and Murphy's Law, because look how good they are tonight. And Jimmy was killing it. I remember they walked out, and there was like about packed to the front, about 5 rows of people deep. Then there was that hardcore horseshoe, and then the rest of the crowd. And he came out, and before they even started playing, he's like, don't give me this bullshit. This is New York City. You better move the fuck up. And it was great. He just got the whole crowd riled.
Yeah, he's fucking...
they were so on. I couldn't believe it.
He's such a great frontman. That package in general was just...
Yeah, and then from there, that's when we were doing tours. We were like, all right, we did the run to Florida and Texas with them. That was amazing. Then we did the West Coast with them.
Yeah.
You know? I wish we could do it every time, but then you bring it up to promoters like, yeah, it did good last time, but why don't you wait? You know, like for this year, we're doing a similar run down to Florida, but with Iron Reagan.
That's cool.
But originally we wanted Murphy's Law, and the promoters were like, why don't you wait a little while before we bring you two back? We don't know if it'll work. You know, you don't want to. Sometimes people get overexcited and they're like, yeah, do the same thing. It's going to work again.
Yeah, no, it was a great package, man. You know, I talked to the other day. I talked to Cindy Stremble. Remember her from Peter Tattoo? Remember she did.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because she did her first tattoos in Deer Park, whatever.
Yeah, she did the alleyway dragon.
Yeah, and I think the alleyway came from a flash.
It's funny, I couldn't remember her name when I was at Muse Inc. They were asking, where did you get your first tattoo?
Yeah.
And I brought that up, and I said Cindy, but I couldn't remember her last name.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you her information. She's like married to this famous, well-known, amazing tattoo artist. I talked to her the other day for like an hour. She told me she went on tour with AF, and all of us coming to the shop, and Pete saying that I was 17 years old, and he was vouching for me to get tattooed at her shop. And I guess that dragon was like on a flash that she had on the wall there. That's where it came from, that shop, I guess.
Yeah, it was a Greg Irons flash. That was the original
fucking
one.
Crazy, man.
Greg Irons. Yeah, everybody, and I'm not gonna lie. I said, yeah, it was a Greg Irons tattoo flash.
Yeah, he passed away too.
And that's like when people bring up, I remember when Mobb Deep put it on their record.
Yeah.
I remember that people were like, oh, they saw it on a tattoo flash. And I was like, they work with the Beatnuts, right? Yeah, I go, the guy in the Beatnuts has a Sick of It All sticker on his fucking door of his apartment before you go in. It's right there.
Oh, wow.
You're going to see the fucking dragon.
Yeah.
So,
it was
funny. I remember our friend Lisa Rowe.
Lisa Longhair.
Our friend Lisa Rowe was the one.
Yeah,
Longhair Lisa. She worked in whatever label they were on, and she
Loud
was
Records.
walking past the art director's desk, and she looks and she sees the inside of that Hell on Earth album where they had the dragon burned into the earth, and she goes, "You like Sick of It All?" And he goes, "Who?"
Oh.
She goes, "That's the Sick of It All dragon." He goes, "No, it's not. It's Mobb Deep." And she had one of those necklaces that Pete made. She goes, "Here, look at this."
Oh.
He's like, "Oh shit."
Damn. I still got 2 of those stickers too. They're probably worth crazy money. I have the Dragon Mobb Deep stickers, and I remember Trevor had that meeting with them at Loud. It was just him there by himself, and had to talk about. Yeah. And they're like, we have friends who died with this dragon on their hands, and blah blah blah. That was crazy, dude. And then you guys covered. Then you guys did a song with them, right?
Well, then they, it came. It kind of worked in our favor where it just worked out where Loud was doing their own version of like Judgment Night, and they had a lot of good bands on that shit. They had like System of a Down was on there and all that. And they were like, hey, could you remix the Mobb Deep song? And Armine had this idea. He goes like, I'm going to put their voices on a fucking hardcore song. And it came out. And I remember when we sent it to Loud, they flipped out. They were like, yo, this is a straight up hardcore song, a New York style hardcore song.
Yeah.
And it's not hip hop. We're like, yeah. And he goes like, this fucking sounds great. They loved it. They loved it. But then they made the shittiest cover for an album I've ever seen in my life. Do you remember the cover of that record?
I do not. I can look it up.
It's like a computer generated like Blue Muscle Man, and we were just like, what
Weird.
the fuck is this?
That's so random.
So I was like, I could have drew something better. Just I've done it for free because it's such a good record. But the cover was shit that nobody bought it.
I remember that. I think I looked that cover up.
You have to look it up.
I talked to Tim too about this.
Loud Rocks is the name of the cover.
Loud. Okay.
The name of the
Loud
album.
Rocks. I talked to.
You can look it up on. It's so ugly. Look it up on Spotify or whatever. It's just so nasty looking.
I talked to Tim Armstrong too, and we were talking about like the connection. We both agree that the Sick of It All Rancid connection was the first like East and West Coast like connection with punk and hardcore bands, like the Wetlands thing and City Gardens, and I think they were the first band because Pete loved your band, like he ordered that 7-inch from Revelation. He was a big fan of Revelation records, and then we got they got to play together, you guys, at City Gardens, and like just that moment, like
that was crazy.
That was awesome, but like you were like the first before like all the other East Coast bands connected with the bands on the Warped Tour, whatever. I feel like it was a Sick of It All Rancid connection, you know. It was really like a respect thing.
I totally forgot about that was the first thing. I remember we were in Europe and we were doing our homecoming show in City Gardens. And Stormy goes, Rancid's playing some shows, but I want them to play with you guys to expose them to another audience. I'm like, oh yeah, cool, we're cool. And they had to go on first. It was Rancid, Into Another, and Sick of It All.
Damn.
And I remember we met, they were all backstage, and Lars kept trying to make excuses not to blow dry his spikes up.
Yeah, that's what Tim talked about, too.
He goes, he wrote a set list, like, I wrote that set list like 6 times just to try to wait for you guys to leave the room so I could blow dry my hair because I didn't want you to make fun of me. And I was like, we wouldn't have made fun of you. He goes, no, you would have.
Tim talked about that, too. So that brings me up to...
Yeah, but
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I just remember that being an amazing show, and I remember we opened with Injustice System, and Lars and Tim were standing on stage, and when they saw, and that was back when, it was City Garden.
Yeah, man, prime shit, yeah.
And when we went into Injustice System, it was from the front all the way past the bar. People were just dancing, going wild, and I remember Lars and Tim going like, holy shit.
Dude, they never
Mark
seen
M.A.D.
nothing
was there.
He was? Oh, shit.
Yeah, he was there. And he was impressed, too. He was like, oh, my God.
What year was that?
Fuck, I don't know. I have a flyer. Not a flyer. I have a sticker or something. I mean, a ticket stub.
Yeah.
Shit, I don't remember what year it was.
And then one thing
I had to be...
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it had to be like 93, maybe?
Yeah, 93.
When did Let Go come out? I don't know.
Let's Go is 94. Yeah, maybe that's a self-titled record for Rancid before that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm going to thank you guys for, and it's underlining theme to all the people I've already interviewed for the New York season of this podcast is the ball breaking that gave me tough skin, like they got to you, and like I remember they used to call me like the girly man from Maryland, or Rusty was my inbred father, and Pussy Boy, and just all this shit, and it was like this. It's this New York tough love that I think it only happens in New York. It's like your friends will find your weakest point and poke at it till you crack. But then the minute somebody fucks with you with a rat pack and they have your back, it's this whole like big brother love ball breaking. And like you guys had me shave my head bald for many years, and now I still have the same hairline and fucking Craig's bald. But you know what I mean? It's that New York thing, right? It's got to be a New York thing.
Yeah. And that's like you said before. You asked how do we stay together or whatever. Not why, but a lot of people ask how we stay together, and that's the thing is we do that. We just make fun of each other all the time. It's funny, but it's annoying, especially now with text messaging. Like you have a banned text message, and it'll be one serious question, and then it's Armand and Craig making fun of each other for the next 20 minutes. Your phone keeps buzzing, and you're like, "All right, are we done? Can you guys just text each other?" And then on the road, it's like, they make fun of.
I saw it the other day.
Of everybody, like make fun of me for being old or forgetting something. Oh, he's getting really old. But it's just fun.
But I mean, I came to New York by myself. I never experienced any of that shit. From the minute I met Devil and stayed at the Schick House, just all that shit, like the girly man from Maryland, and just everything. Like, and Craig's obsessed with like your hairline, and fuck, man, it's just
oh my God, he still is. It's so annoying when you even like this past weekend at Muse Inc. We were just like. You'd see somebody hadn't seen, take your hat off. And you're like, oh, God, please let the people live. was giving Scott from Terror. He's like, look, you're thin here, and I'm like, the guy shaves his head.
Yeah, it was
if
good,
he lets
man.
it grow in. Look at his hairline. His hairline's like right above his eyebrows. He's fine.
It's perfect. He's just obsessed. But just all that break, it'll never go away. It doesn't matter how old we are, and it's going to stick with you forever. Maybe I've been scarred by it. Maybe I'm scarred a little bit by it, but I do appreciate it because it definitely gave me tougher skin and the ball breaking, and like it was just nonstop, man. It was fucking just in the van, people snapping on each other, making jokes. And
do you remember? I don't know if you're on that tour. I know Inti was on the tour. Inti Carboni, who is now like a famous director and producer in Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was on tour, and we were playing in Detroit with Rancid.
Yeah.
And we had I think it was Detroit, but we had a day off and we were bowling, and it was all the Rancid guys, and Inti was on their team against all of us, and the way the attitudes of the bowling was so funny because like Rancid guy would bowl and he would get a gut ball like, yeah, you get it next time, and like so like I'd bowl and I'd miss, and Craig and I'm like, God damn it, you suck, you're gonna ruin it. And we'd all yell at each other, be negative, but we won, and we were all just dancing around, yay, the negative guys won. Because they were all positive and helping, you know.
So,
but the thing is, it was just the ball busting attitude that we always did to each other. It
dude,
we didn't mean anything.
But it's so.
And the funny thing, a side note on that thing is, years later, like it was really like almost 10 years later, a friend of mine was interviewing Matt from Rancid, and he goes, "Hey, you got any inside questions I could ask him or say to him?" I said, "Do me a favor. At the end of the interview, go, I got one last question. How does it feel to know that Sick of It All beat you in bowling and retired champions?" And he said that to him, and Matt went, "Oh my God, that was like 10 years ago. Can they just get over it already?"
I love that shit.
That was fucking great.
So, there's a couple more questions. Do you consider yourself an optimist or pessimist? Or you're a realist?
Oof. That's a hard one. Probably everybody tell you I'm a pessimist.
Yeah.
I kind of believe to be a realist,
Yeah.
At least I think so. But in reality, like I said, I mean, the way I feel about the band, it's kind of like optimist,
Yeah. But sometimes, like, the band is called Sick of It All. I mean, you guys are pissed at the world and shit, but also you're grown-ass men now, too. So do you still have that anger in you from against the world, especially what's happening now with everything? But
yeah, it's more focused. Like back then, you were just mad because, like, why do we have to do this? Why does society say I have to do this? And now you're mad because why does society act this way? Why does society, at this day and age, you could go through the list. You go through why aren't women paid the same as men? Why is there still fucking racism? And then you'll see why. Now with Trump in the White House, you see why.
Yeah.
It's like drilled in their head.
Yeah.
That black people are evil. Black people aren't as intelligent as you. Mm-hmm. They're animals. If they act like people will point out, look at Chicago, look at this housing project. So yeah, why that? Because you treat them like animals, and we shove them in these places.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's why we're more focused with our anger. I mean, look at Armine wrote a song called "Robert Moses Was a Racist" on the new album, and people like, who's Robert Moses? And then they go through it and they realize, wow, this guy built New York City and the highways and some of the biggest parts. But he made it so that minorities couldn't use it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you guys had a message from day one, I mean, with Injustice System and then Just Look Around. Like, nobody was talking about racism like that at that time in hardcore, too. That was a really powerful video and song to do.
And even on that album, songs like In Dust and I forget the name of the title of the other one, but they were about the AIDS crisis. Mm-hmm. And we had guys who back then were struggling with themselves. They didn't know what they were struggling with, but they've since come out as gay, and they're like, you guys really helped me with that. And I'm just sitting there like shocked, like, wow, we just wrote it because we knew idiot friends of ours like, there were people like, AIDS is like for gay people, and they'd go and have sex with like, a drug addict girl, and be like, you get AIDS doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody was conscious like that with you guys back then too, especially for like the stigma of New York hardcore. It's like knucklehead and tough guy shit, and then you guys coming out with some conscious shit. It was still hard, but it was conscious. Like that was, I mean, it's pretty powerful for back then. I mean, was there any kind of, when that song came out, was there any kind of, what you remember the reaction for that? It was just, it was no internet back then. It was probably hard to like figure that
No,
out.
there's
But
no negative reaction to that at all. It was
yeah,
funny. No negative reaction. And it
yeah,
would be weird, like, like we did that. That was the tour with Biohazard. I remember
yeah.
playing in Florida, and there was this kid up front jumping up on the barricade and singing along, and he's singing along to Just Look Around, and he's got a rebel flag tattooed across his throat with flames around it. And I remember going to him after the show, going like, "Dude, not to be a jerk, but do you know the lyrics you were singing?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, I understand, but it's different where I'm from." You
Holy
know?
shit!
And I remember the same thing in Texas. Same thing. It was a show in either Houston or Austin. I don't remember where. It was one of those cities, and the neighborhood was bad, of course, because that's where hardcore shows. I'll throw it in the shit neighborhood. And I remember saying to this obvious white power guy came up to me after the show and said, "Yo, great show." And I was like, I'm not gonna be a dick, and I'm not trying to fight with you, but why do you believe what you believe if you like Sick of It All? And he was like, "I like your music." He goes, "Yeah, and I understand your message." He goes, "But," he goes, "you see your friends over here, all these little straight edge kids, they will get fucked with when they walk out of this club and walk through this part of town. None of these brothers are gonna fuck with me because they know if something happens to me, a shitstorm's gonna come down." I was like, it's like a gang mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a shame it had to be that way.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, but I feel like that song lyrically and all that was ahead of its time. And then do you have any daily rituals?
Daily?
Yeah, like what do you do? You have a coffee every day? You have like a ritual every day you do? Do you exercise?
Yeah,
do you
it's weird. It switches. Some days I always got to eat. I know it's very, very millennial of me, but I get a coffee and an avocado toast. I love that shit.
I love avocado toast too. I love it too, man.
It's like so obvious. Like, this shit's so good. Why would you? Somebody the other day said, "Oh, I hate avocados." Like, how the fuck do you hate avocados?
Do you make it yourself, or you buy it somewhere? You make it yourself?
I mostly make it myself.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I'll buy it because we got this new coffee shop opened up about 2 years ago, really close to me, and the coffee is amazing.
Yeah.
And the toast is good, but it's kind of expensive, so I don't do that.
Yeah.
But then it's like, then the other days, I drink a protein shake because I have to force that way. I'm like, if I don't work out, I just drank this protein shake. I can't let it go to waste. I got to work out.
Yeah. I was gonna say something too. Fuck, I just went spacey on that about you working out, about being home, daily rituals. Fuck, I totally spaced. It was something that came up.
But mostly it's like my daily rituals are like, I do that, but then it's like drop my daughter off at school and I got to be there to pick her up, and then it's just me and her after, gotta make sure she does her homework and does this, and it's cool. She likes, she can't wait. It's finally getting warm here again.
Yeah.
And she's like, even when it was like 30 degrees, she's like, "Let's go ride skateboards." And I'm sitting there like with gloves and scarves on, riding down the street going, "Shit, it's fucking cold. Can we go in?" And she's like, "No."
Did you skate when you were a kid too?
Yeah, but back then I could ollie and shit. For some reason, my old man body is like, "You're not doing an ollie." I'll go to do it and I'll freeze up, and I'm like, "Well, just do it, man. What's wrong with you?" And it's like, I won't do it. My body just stops.
But back in the day, you skated though. You skated with Pete in the '80s, though, right?
I wasn't fantastic at tricks or anything. But I could, I could hop out onto a curb. I used to love to do truck grinds, and that's what we would do. We find all like in our neighborhood in Queens, and at a certain point, wherever the bus stops were, for some reason they put in like on the curb they would put a steel beam inside the cement, like right at the edge. I don't know why. But we were all like, "This is awesome." We would just do grinds on those all day, all night.
Wow, man.
And then the neighborhood Guidos would drive by and throw shit at you. You're having fun at something I don't understand, and they throw something at you.
One thing that nobody really knows about you is that you and Pete, you never really claimed straight edge ever, but you guys are pretty much didn't really party during your lives, right? You weren't really big partiers.
Yeah. I mean, when we were really young, of course, because growing up in the white trash neighborhood, but like, drink beer, that was good. And it really wasn't even the drinking of the beer. It was like, I'm going to buy beer.
Yeah.
And got away with it.
Yeah.
And then I remember almost becoming of age to drink. I was like, this shit's fucking boring.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. I tried stuff. I did stuff, but it was just like, it just never clicked with me for that. That kind of stuff just never stuck with me.
Yeah, it's cool.
But especially
you never claimed it.
Like the most Pete's like the most straight edge, you know.
And nobody ever knew that
drink,
either about him.
I'll drink. Yeah, nobody knows that. And like, I'll drink wine once in a while, but
Yeah.
not Pete. Not even at his own wedding. He wouldn't drink champagne. Like, I'll have sparkling apple cider. You know?
Wow. And then, final question: do you have any regrets in life?
Sure, everybody. I do too, but you know, just stupid things. You know.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of personal, like my godson. I wish I had stayed more in touch with him. It wasn't my choice not to speak.
Oh,
to
that's
him,
right, man.
but
that's right.
he passed away when he was 20.
Damn.
And from a heroin overdose. And
I remember hearing about that.
It had a lot to do with it. His mother's, you know, I'm not trying to blame her, but she was very free with her lifestyle of smoking weed all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not, again, I have friends that smoke weed and they're perfectly normal.
Totally.
Happy, and she was one of those that she would smoke weed and just be happy with her life. But I think it opened it like, oh, well, my mom does that. I can do whatever I want. And he moved to Long Island where there's a big heroin, you know, craze. And then he lost two of his friends. And then at the age of 20, he just fucking OD'd by accident.
Fuck, man. Yeah, that's brutal, man.
So, you know, stuff like that. Wish I could have stayed in his life and tried to keep him from doing that shit or helping him, you know.
Yeah. Were you on tour when that happened?
Yeah, no, the weird thing is me and his mother had a falling out, so we weren't speaking. And me and Melissa were talking about him because it was my daughter's birthday.
Yeah.
And we were like, I wonder what Logan's doing. I miss him. And then she went to work the next day and just said, you know what? She looked him up on Facebook, and it said, and the first thing that she looked him up, and the first thing that came up was, obituary for Logan Bueno. He died like a day before, or the funeral was the day before we looked him up. And I was so, not even just not having me there because we had a very volatile relationship at the end, but my mom raised him and raised him good from the age of 0 to 10 years old. Fuck. And he used to, you know, he would call me every once in a while and I would go pick him up.
Yeah.
When his mother would, you know, leave him alone for a weekend, and first thing he would do is call me like, hey, I want to come hang out with you. And I would go scoop him up for the weekend.
Yeah.
And he would always talk to me about my mom. I got him his first skateboard. I got him his first, you know, and he was really into skating towards, you know, when he got older.
Yeah.
And it was cool because when he was 10, he was all into pop music, you know, like a little kid, like all the kids in his class.
Yeah, totally.
And then when he was 16, he's calling me up going like, you guys are playing with Rancid? Can I come to the show? It was awesome. He was back into like punk, and I look at his Facebook and it had like Bad Brains and The Clash and Rancid.
Damn.
And
that's all you, man. That's
and he had
crazy.
But he had like all local bands too, and bands that went on to become like, you know, big band. Like he was into the Plain White Tees before anybody knew who they were. You know, it's like, wow, that's weird, man.
Fuck. So,
but yeah, that's my one. I'd say out of everything, that's probably one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't get to stay in his life and try to help him.
Yeah. You know? What's crazy about what we do, and we still get to play music and shit. There's people don't understand. There's no 401k, no retirement playing the music. We do it because we love it, and I think that people can see that, and that's for me looking at Sick of It All, for your longevity. People can see the realness of it, and you guys love what you do, and that's why I think you continue to still do it and have success, because it's your life. You know what I mean? You dedicated your life to this shit. There's like no looking back, and I respect that, man, because I never had a plan B either, and maybe this podcast is my plan B. Who knows? But we're just lucky. We're just lucky to play music still and do what we do. And I want to thank you guys for that, because of you guys, I got to see the world. Got to meet my wife in D.C. You know, Pete wrote with My Love Is Real with me and all that stuff, 5-year plan, and just start my band, which was a total joke.
My Love Is Real.
I mean, yeah, my mom was Armand was my roadie at my first show, and just like everything, the ball breaking and all that shit.
It was a great time. It was good, man.
Yeah.
It just keeps going.
I know. It's
just let's think of it. Look at us. We're still doing what we love.
Yeah.
And look, we have families.
I know, man.
Kids.
I know. It's fucking
crazy.
It's crazy. Do you feel like some of the values that you learned from hardcore and punk you instill in your daughter and being a father and stuff?
Oh yeah. She knows it. She's cool. She knows but it's weird. She's very sensitive. She doesn't like my ball busting jokes.
Oh, there you go.
She's very sensitive. I gotta make her tougher. You know who really toughened his kids up with that was Armand. You know him. Him and his wife are both bald. I have a letter from his daughter. She was 8 years old, and she wrote it to me and Melissa, and she wrote about how sometimes mom and dad say stuff that hurt me, and I love it because I always busted out. Hey, Armand, see this letter your daughter wrote to me?
So he's ball breaking his kids? That's crazy, man.
Yeah, but now they're like, they're like him. They're like just bounces off their backs. They don't give a shit what anybody says.
I guess Armand got his balls broken as a kid then or something. Yeah, that's crazy, man. how it all goes, but I can imagine. I mean, your daughter, when the first time she's seen you perform too, like, holy shit, my dad sings like that, and it's crazy, man. Like,
yeah,
and just what they're around, because I feel like Max thought that every single person had tattoos and that was normal, and people that didn't weren't normal because that's all he knew growing up. Like, it's.
Remember, how young was he when we were all in Japan together?
Like fucking 3 or 4. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah. Jimmy Gestapo was using him to pick up girls. It was great.
Jimmy had the fake eye in his forehead, like he was calling himself a pirate. And Max has always thought he was a pirate from after he had that fake eye on his forehead. That was a crazy shit too. Japan, man. Fuck, man. We could talk for hours, but well, I'm excited you guys have a book coming out. That's fucking awesome. I think that people are really stoked on that. And maybe there'll be like a documentary or something. Who knows, right? Never know.
Who knows? I think. I mean, when they approach us for the book, I understand they want it because. Yeah, there's so many books about biographies of bands, but they need a new angle, so they use the brother angle.
Yeah, it's a good angle though. This fucking, you know that on the Misfits.
But it's really like it's the story of Sick of It All told through me and Pete.
Yeah,
there should be either another book, or if they do a real documentary on Sick of It All, it has to be all four of us because that's what it is. The four. But Four Horsemen of Stupidity.
But the Godfather's a Hardcore documentary, which I love, the AF shit. That was kind of like the thing, like it was like Sigma and Roger's relationship. I thought that was cool too.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And they were the originators of the original guys in the band, and they deserved it. That's a great documentary.
It's fucking amazing, dude.
I think they did an amazing job.
Me too, man.
And
it's crazy. Go ahead.
When I was watching it. And the first scene and you hear the beginning of Victim in Pain, I got goosebumps.
Yeah,
I was just like, oh shit, It was so good.
It's crazy on that Misfits tour. There were 3 sets of brothers. It's pretty wild, man.
The what?
There was H2O, Sick of It All, and Misfits, 2 brothers in each band. It's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I doubt there's been any tour like that after that. Like with fucking, it's fucking crazy, man. All right, well, thank you so much. Go ahead, we can say.
Thanks. No. I was just going to say, it's,
pretty
crazy.
Did
the Sepul tour and Sick of It All tour. And
yeah.
I remember at the Seattle riot towards the tail end of it, I was turning to Max, I go, man, I'm really sorry. And he goes, that's okay, man. Hey, get Pete. We're going to take a picture of the brothers. Still a riot going on. And I was like, all right.
I got
It ended up in Just Look Around.
That's right.
The layout.
That's right. And then, fuck, man, I think there's a Pussy Boy in one of your layouts too, man. People hit me up about it sometimes. Like, oh shit, I saw that picture.
Yeah, that's in Live in a World Full of Hate.
I actually got a picture of me shooting rope. It's in my butt and it's on the ground like a rainbow, and you're in the. It's come out of my butt, touching the ground. It looks like a string, and then you're in the background like making this. I gotta send it to you. It's crazy face, dude. It's so fucking funny, man. Oh my God!
When's your book coming out?
I don't know, man. I gotta figure that out. I feel like this podcast is like a oral history / audiobook of my life. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out someday. But well, thank you, Lou, for your time. I love you and I appreciate your friendship. Appreciate you guys taking me under your wing when I was a kid. All the ball breaking, all the tough love, and everything you guys have done as a band to pave the way for bands like H2O and all my friends' bands and everything. Man, you guys are a big inspiration, and I'm proud of you guys. How far you guys came. It's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, bro. And I'm psyched for your book. And if I think of any more questions I missed, I'll call you back in a couple minutes. Oh, shit. All right, Lou, thank you, bro.
That's some old school shit.
It is old school.
Cool, man.
Peace, bro. Couple minutes. Bye.
Yeah, I'll see you.
Bye. Hey, guys. Thanks for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet to this podcast, please do that. And whatever platform you are listening to this on, I'm glad you found me. You can rate me and review me on there also. So thank you guys sincerely for the support. I cannot wait for you guys to the next one.